who's the defensive coordinator for the Canes? Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
I hate to condemn Manny Diaz. He looks like a good guy. He seems like he says and does all the right things about, well, you know what? We're concerned about academics here. Yeah, sure. Maybe you need to get unconcerned, man. Throw all the books out of the football dormitory there, except for the playbook. I mean, the worst tackling team in Division I football. Penalties and stupidity. Just all over the place. And then on top of that, you're going to get that thing they stole from Flavor Flav and put it around a guy's neck when you're down 17 to a crap team on the road, and you finally get a fumble, on some fluke play, some fat guy falls on the ball, and then you got to hang this chain around his neck that has like a grandfather clock attached to it. Disgrace all the way around. I mean, think about it. Schnellenberger, he would have sent the house. Jimmy would have sent the house. You think Jimmy's going to count Mississippi 1, Mississippi 2, Mississippi 3, Mississippi? Oh, look at that. We didn't execute the play properly. That really scares me more than anything in life. Never mind losing all of your money gambling. Is there anything worse? You open the fridge door thinking you're going to shove that half a cheeseburger that you had left over, and you took it with you, even though you probably were going to have to put it in a drawer and eat it again. You open the door, the refrigerator door, and you're thinking you're just going to put something in there from, because naturally you don't even bother to check in. You already ate something before you got to the hotel. And the minute you open the door, like a slot machine, the wheels start turning.
Yes. Yeah, don't even bump into
$17. I mean, you may as well just buy your drinks on the plane. $17 for a little tiny, thing of vodka? You got to be kidding me.
It's almost like, that thing.
M&M's, $20 a pop. I mean, who's making the prices there? Joe Biden? What is that? Don't gamble in anger.
She hit the daily.
Very calm. Think it through. If you need a little help, don't gamble in anger.
I get a panic phone call, and he says, "Do you have any extra cash?" I go, "Yeah, I brought money with me to Atlantic City." He goes, "Well, I can't get any more out of the card because the Mustang went wild and emptied the daily allotment of cash."
Double nickels, man. She went for a nickel on her card and a nickel on mine.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
On a glorious Tuesday morning here in South Florida. Great to be with you, and great to welcome all the people around the world now watching and listening on ION Channel. And wow, as we head into the holiday weekend, just a tremendous amount of sporting activity. Good to be with you, Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz. It's the Defo Show on ION Channel, ionchannel.com. You can catch the video stream, and all you have to do, and this has become a common mantra around ION Channel. Have you noticed this? Just Google the Defo Show. Everybody's walking around the hallways. Just Google the Defo Show. That's all you have to do to catch us. So tell your friends, and things are picking up. We're picking up steam. The numerology very favorable so far on this show. Lubie started at 0, and we're working our way up, which is fantastic. So thanks to all of the people there at ION Channel. We'll be giving thanks and paying homage to them on Thanksgiving Day. And good to have you with us today. Going to be a lot of fun today. John Feinstein, one of our favorites, going to be with us here for the first time on this program. And he's always great. He has a new book out about race in America. This guy's not afraid to tackle some very difficult subjects, Mike Lubitz. That's one of the great things. Of course, known for his sports anthology of books that he's put together, including the classic, A Season on the Brink, when he followed. Imagine, he told us a story many times about how he got this access. But Bobby Knight, Mike Lubitz, was not inclined to say, "Oh, yeah, let's have a reporter travel with us and get all the dirty details about what's going on with the team." And it was not a particularly good year for Indiana basketball, and Knight was always embroiled in some kind of controversial turmoil, ugliness, because it was the nature of his abrasive style of coaching, which was real old school, Lubie. If you like old school, like we have old school with Tony Segreto, then you would have loved Bobby Knight's style of coaching. Man to man, all the way, Lubie. Set some picks away from the ball on offense and cover a guy like a blanket when you were on defense, and there was no excuse. That was your guy. Switch! That was always my favorite thing to yell as I casually tried to work my way, barely grazing a guy on a pick. Switch! You got him! You got him! As the guy's going to the basket. Wouldn't have flown with Bobby Knight, that's for sure. But anyway, good to be with you here on this fine Tuesday, the pre-Thanksgiving special. We will be with you again tomorrow. And, of course, we have something special cooked up for Thursday and Friday as well. So if you're watching on ION Channel, you're not going to get jobbed on the holidays. You have a nice prelude into that trio of games, which includes the Lions and the Bears. I have to check this out. Now, the Bears are favored in this game by 3.5. Don't you love the Lions in this ballgame? Mike Lubitz, all the signs from the gods of gambling, all of the signals from the gods of gambling are pointing in the direction of the Detroit Lions to win on Thanksgiving Day. So they're beleaguered fans. I mean, you talk about whoever is left being a Lions fan, you talk about loyalty, that's loyalty. See, we hang on to very small things here. The Dolphins have won 3 games in a row, and now everybody's getting a little giddy. Oh, yeah, they're going to make it 7, which leads me to believe the confidence with which people are looking at this current Dolphin winning streak and the possibility that they could be 7-7 because they have the Giants who stunk the joint out last night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How bad is that defense of the Giants? I mean, every time I switched on the game, that was Tampa Bay just like rolling through them with dink and dunk. Tom Brady just dinking and dunking his way, for 10 yards at a clip. At what point do you just say, hey, look, let this guy beat us over the top? I know they have Godwin. I know they have Evans. They didn't have Antonio Brown last night. They got Gronk back, which was big. But how many square-ins and little out patterns can you allow Tom Brady to throw before you just say, hey, let's get after this old geezer. He's 44 years old, and let's make him look that way. I think Blanda retired before he was 44, did he not? George Blanda, who's always the example, like when you're reaching for somebody who's like really old that was still playing a sport, it's always, well, he's older than George Blanda was when he retired. Did Blanda make it to like 46 or 7? Which it appears Brady is destined to do. I mean, there's no sign that Tom Brady is slowing down, is there? Because is that by league mandate? Check with Ron DeSantis there. Is that a mandate of some sort that you have to allow Brady 12 yards to throw the football before you're allowed to pick up any of his receivers in the defensive backfield? Because, they made it look easy last night against the New York Football Giants, who got their 7 points on a Brady pick, which was not his fault. I mean, he hits the guy in the shoulder pads. Mike Evans, very reliable receiver, must have taken his eye off the ball for a second. Pops in the air. Giants recover, get it at the 5-yard line. They run Daniel Jones, your man. You know what? You might have been right about Daniel Jones. I might have been wrong. Yeah, I said it like Fonzie. I might have been wrong, Lubie. Because Daniel Jones does not look like the real deal. And the question of the week is, and this has been going on for several years, how does Dave Gettleman, the GM of the Giants, you're on Chris Greer? This guy's a disaster so far.
Worst.
A disaster. I mean, they're bad. So, anyway, they got Saquon Barkley back in the ballgame last night. Why was it necessary to run a token run up the middle with Barkley for like 1 yard when you know he's going to get crushed like a grape? Everybody in the house knew they were going to hand the ball off to Barkley on the first play, and he's going to take it right into – I'm making that noise a lot now on the show. Is that something
it's fine.
Shake out of the repertoire here? Whoosh, goes right into the line and gets crushed like a grape. And you're thinking they're going to cart this guy off the field if the Giants keep doing this. But ugliness 30-10 last night to wind up week number 11 of the National Football League season, which cranks up again with a big triple header, as we mentioned. And that is just 2 days away. But am I crazy? Are the Lions not destined to win this game on Thursday to open things up? They've been in every ball game this year and haven't been able to manage a win. They did manage one tie against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it's just this Sunday, they lost to the Cleveland Browns 13-10. That started a lot of bitching and moaning and a lot of contretemps among the Browns faction. As Baker Mayfield's wife says, you ought to get tough like my man Baker.
There you go.
That probably plays well with some 320-pound solid muscle defensive lineman who's been in there schwitzing while Baker's handing the ball off to Nick Chubb when he's in the lineup. And throwing a couple of errant passes and making a lot of commercials. Baker Mayfield has become the modern-day Peyton Manning.
Yes.
Do you go to Home Depot because Baker Mayfield seems to be living at the ballpark? I never thought about that. All right, we often talk about teams that come back from the dead and players that come back from the dead. There's a guy, and this story struck me right out of the chute here this morning as I was reading my New York Post on the throne. And not that you need that graphic image. Boy, that is an ugly image, huh? Right? You open the door at the airport, one of the stalls, and there's a guy in there. Yeah, sorry. Now you're grossed out for the entire flight. Forget about it. I mean, I don't care if you're going cross country, 6 hours it takes to recover from an ugly, shocking scene like that. But there's a guy who actually came back from the dead, Lubie. An Indian man, this is of Indian descent, not Native American, was declared dead after a road accident and put in a morgue freezer. How about this?
Jeez.
You ready for this? Where his family found him alive the next day.
Oh my God.
They literally buried this guy alive.
Oh,
The guy's name
Jesus.
was Srikesh Kumar. Srikesh Kumar. He's 45 years old. He was hit by a motorcycle in an accident and then declared dead on arrival at a private clinic before he was taken to a government hospital. And the hospital declared him dead and put him in the morgue. He was in the freezer. He was on ice for like about, I guess, 6 hours. His family showed up. They noticed him moving.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
He's still in a coma, but that couldn't have helped the cause any, right? They just throw the guy. Put him on ice. That was it. They put him in the freezer. They literally did, and he was alive the whole time, or at least barely so. But yeah, teams coming back from the dead, and that's what people think the Dolphins are doing, coming back from the dead, 1-7, 7 in a row in a losing column, and on top of that, some real ugly ones, and they scrape out a win against the Houston Texans, who all of a sudden are decent after getting off to a just incredibly bad start. Well, they got Tyrod Taylor. At least they have a serviceable quarterback. Is that what we're going to be saying about Tua Tagovailoa? Because you would think this was a Zapruder film, the way they're examining this long pass that he threw, which wasn't, the guy was so wide open that you couldn't miss him, but he actually had to turn around to make the catch. It wasn't like this pass was right on the money. This was not Dan Marino throwing one of those things that you rate with style points. Look at that trajectory. That was an 87-degree angle there, and the velocity on that ball was just exceptional. It was a decent pass, but to a wide open guy. It was like one of those guys in the Steve Spurrier offense back in the days when he was coaching the Gators. Where Danny Werfel was throwing balls that looked like they should invoke the infield fly rule, but guys were so wide open in this fun and gun that he was running. Or was that the offense, the way they described the fun and gun?
Fun and gun.
Fun and gun, man. And guys were waving out there, here, Danny, here. And they're open by like 20 yards. I mean, you couldn't miss them, which was the case there with this Tua pass. But I would venture to say that I've seen this pass replayed at least 100 times by the local news people who are just absolutely blown away that Tua could throw the ball down the field after watching this guy for a season and a half, which you could say very much in the honor of John Feinstein being present on the show today, or planning to be on the show today, that this was very much and still remains a season on the brink.
Yes.
But I can't believe how many times they've shown this same replay. All right, a lot of things happening all around the board, including the Juicers being eligible for the Hall of Fame. I don't know what you did there, Lubie, but all of a sudden I got this giant face in front of me. There you go. The Juicers are eligible for the Hall of Fame. Now, A-Rod, no shot. People don't like A-Rod, even though the networks are in love with A-Rod, who hasn't said an interesting thing in the several years that he's been a broadcaster. You could say the same thing about me. You might be thinking the same thing about Lubie. The next thing he says that's of any interest whatsoever is going to be the first interesting thing that man has said. Now, A-Rod, I would venture to say adds virtually nothing to these broadcasts in terms of insight. It's not like he's Jim Cott. Yeah. He's not even Joe Garagiola talking about the science. I mean, what does he say? Can you remember anything he said? He said any number of absolutely ridiculous Joe Morgan-esque type of things, where you're wondering if he's ever been to a baseball park as he's making these comments. And they can't wait. They're lining up with big fat contracts. Is that all J-Lo? He's not with her anymore.
Ain't J-Lo.
You would think Bloom was gone there on the Rose or whatever they call that. But nonetheless, he's eligible for the first time for the Hall of Fame, and so is Big Papi. Mm-hmm. Now, Big Papi is well liked, but you would have to think, juice or no juice? What would be your answer to that? Big Papi, sorry, Leslie Visser, Big Papi, juice or no juice?
I thought he was in the report. Isn't it known that he was on juice? He just didn't fail a drug test, so he never got crap for it, but he was on juice. Isn't it known?
Never caught me. All right. Everybody's assuming that he was a juicer, right? I mean, if Roger Clemens, he could deny it to his grave, which he probably will. He could deny it to the point where he's in the morgue in the freezer there on ice. And you still wouldn't believe him because it seems impossible, right? I mean, there's certain things that just are so implausible that not even the most naive, biggest of fools could possibly believe that to be true. And I know Brian McNamee didn't necessarily make the most savory of characters when he was making his public appearances there in various congressional hearings I don't know. Was he in courtrooms also, or is it just a congressional hearing where he was saying, "Oh yeah, I did it, stuck a needle right in her butt"?
It was a congressional hearing, I know for sure. I don't know about court.
So we're to believe that Roger Clemens was watching as Brian McNamee came to his home and injected steroids into the rear end of his lovely wife, while Clemens just said, "Not for me. That's illegal."
I'm good.
Okay, Raj. How about Mark McGwire, man? What a fool he made of himself. I mean, Pentangeli's testimony was more credible than Mark McGwire. It really was. I mean, I said, "Yeah, sure. I'm not here to talk about the past." Well, then what
are you there for?
Are you here for, Mark?
No one gives it.
We're just here so you can help children out, so they can avoid being on drugs, the same drugs that you were using to hit 750 home runs, making the Babe look like he was a Punch and Judy slap hitter, and that the only reason that he had even 10 home runs in a season was because the right field foul ball was only 297. Unbelievable. He's eligible for the last time, Roger Clemens, along with Barry Bonds. Now, both those guys got 61%. A common theory out there, and Joe Frisaro, it's appropriate. He's going to be on the show later on. He's been covering the Marlins forever, Major League Baseball, and has his own podcast now. Sounds like us, right? Has his own podcast now, and but he's great and real. I mean, I like a guy like Craig Mish comes on our show sometimes, dedicated to baseball. Mish spreads it out a little bit. I think Frisaro strictly has seams on his head and loves baseball and is a very astute baseball commentator and analyst. And he's going to join us later. But the common wisdom, Lubie, was that they would make these guys schwitz. Bonds and Clemens, obvious talent Hall of Famers, and would have been Hall of Famers when, they were pre-juice. They could have left baseball and still gotten credit for being Hall of Fame caliber ball players. What they did after, at like 60 years old, was kind of remarkable. Hey, Sammy, grab a bat. Sosa's out, man. He has no shot. He's on the last year of eligibility also, Sammy Sosa.
He'll never get
I no comprende. Right? The guy was just in like a Double Mint gum commercial, and all of a sudden he has no idea what they're talking about in a congressional hearing. No speak. Okay, Sammy. But he's only garnered 17% of the vote, so he's miles away. I don't know. Sammy Sosa, Hall of Famer, just for the number of home runs he hit, you would have to say Hall of Fame, no?
His numbers,
Sammy
yes.
Sosa?
His numbers, yes.
And as much as, he was cheating at every turn, including the cork bat incident, don't know how that got there.
That's the thing. He did multiple ways of cheating.
Was anything this guy did on the level? I don't even know. I mean, his birth certificate, I think, was forged. Probably was. A lot of those Latin ball players. Oh, really? You're only 17, huh? Okay. I think Fernando was 37 when he broke in. They said he was 16. Valenzuela. It was great, man. Sammy was entertaining, though. I mean, that was one good thing. It was hard to root against him, even though you knew he was cheating at every turn. But he was at least entertaining, and he made you feel good about the game. I guess McGwire, to a certain extent, did also, although he was much more distant than Sammy Sosa. And the fact that those two guys had a bond when they were in that incredible chase.
Yeah, that was
what was
great.
That? 1998, I believe it was, when those guys were, zeroing in on the home run record of the Bambino and Roger Maris and destroyed it. I mean, sailed by like by the All-Star break.
Yep.
And that was a lot of fun, though. I mean, baseball, it was the old chicks dig the long ball. Yep. And Sammy was very entertaining. And we kind of liked the fact, as a sports fan, that McGwire and Sosa, as competitive as they were on the field, would embrace each other and congratulate each other for hitting another home run. But that was, also predating everybody having instant information on their cell phones. And so, you would wake up in the morning, and it was actually important to turn on, believe this or not, Lubie, a radio, and find out if either guy hit one last night. And then that would become all the talk. People would call the talk shows and go, I can't believe it. McGwire's got 57. And so they made for a great race. I don't know. Is it Hall of Fame material? Would you vote Sammy Sosa if you didn't know that he had a syringe in his arm when he came to the plate? If you didn't see that, would you vote Sammy Sosa into the Hall of Fame based on what he did in baseball alone?
He had over 600 home runs. I mean, he had like 3 or 4
an automatic qualifier. Yeah.
Like, I mean, the steroid thing is so weird to me because we're picking and choosing between who we like and I know he's a friend of the friends of the show, but Mike Piazza is well known in baseball circles to have used steroids. I mean, He hasn't failed the test, so
he looks nothing like he did. I mean,
it's
he's
allegedly
like a waif-like figure
exactly.
of his former
But no,
self.
I mean, I know people who knew him in baseball circles, and
Great guy, though. Great guy.
Strong. He's a good dude. It's allegedly, and he should be a Hall of Famer. So I'm not saying he shouldn't be. What I'm saying is, for putting in Bagwell and Piazza, people who it feels like had Roy's
Bagwell, you suspected some steroids?
No,
I mean,
never.
did you see the size of that guy's arms? My God.
So that's my thing is, but they're nice and we like them. Ortiz, nice and we like him, but A-Rod a jerk off, Barry a jerk off, and Roger a jerk off, so they don't get in. Like that's, to me, that's a load of garbage. Like they're either in because of their stats or not. Like Ty Cobb was a jerk. He still got in the Hall of Fame. Being a jerk shouldn't keep you out of the Ted Williams. They didn't like him, but he got in because he's one of the best hitters ever. Like being on roids, some get in, some don't. That's what bothers me.
Yes. A lot of discretionary voting taking place there as, people will always use Bonds. I mean, Bonds, the greatest thing about Barry Bonds was that his head shrunk after he got off the juice. When you talk about this guy coming back from the dead, how about like a head shrinker somehow worked on this guy and his head went from the size of a bowling ball back to its normal size. All of a sudden, he's 6 7/8. Pretty incredible. I don't know. I guess you have to either have blanket acceptance, like you said, Lubie, for the fact that this was just what was going on in the game at the time.
And it's not just hitters, too. Felix Heredia, who was 140 pounds, got caught for Roy. Like, everyone was using Roy's. So,
yes,
it sort of was even. Like, there you go.
It was a level playing field, as you would like to say. Well, if we're on a level playing field, you would have to consider whether this man's accomplishments are Hall of Fame worthy.
Exactly.
People hate Bonds, though. And, I mean, it wasn't like he did anything to help you like him.
No.
During his baseball playing career. Real jerk. All right, we're coming back with more. Speaking of a real gentleman, we have John Feinstein going to join us next. Now, he has a book out about race, which he's discussed with us before on other platforms that he was working on this thing. And it is true that John Feinstein easily, Lubie, I don't know about you, but he's written far more books than I have read in my lifetime. Not just his books, but read, period. Cover to cover. What do I total out at? About 5 books that I've read cover to cover lifetime? That's about it.
I've read more.
People think like I read a lot or something. I mostly read sports sections, racing forums, yeah. But, I mean, I fudged my way through a lot of things as we did this first segment of the show here, talking about A-Rod and how much. It is wild, though, when you watch a game and A-Rod's one of the commentators. I mean, he looks good on camera, right? He might be putting on a couple of pounds, too, huh? A-Rod, have you noticed?
Feels like it. After that, J-Lo.
He's always in the gym with J-Lo, yeah. And then all of a sudden, he's just eating Malamars in the middle of the night right out of the freezer. Frozen Malamar is a pretty good thing. All right, we have a lot more coming up. John Feinstein going to join us. In fact, we're very guest-intensive here the rest of the way.
Yes,
as
sir.
we take up until 9 o'clock with our live show here on Ion Channel. Jack Namer, Amy, all the good people there. Brad, tremendous job. Haven't seen Miguel the last couple of episodes, but always very, very helpful. Good crew over there at Ion Channel, and some big things in the works. So very happy about this. And, the whole Thanksgiving spirit. Look, we could have been face down in the gutter, Lubie, very easily at this point in time. So we give our thanks to those people for backing us here and getting us to this point. John Feinstein coming up next. Joe Frisaro on baseball, so we can get into that Hall of Fame thing a little bit with Joe. And then the Marlins actually making a move, although it seems kind of on the cheap, doesn't it? Sandy Alcantara, their ace, who's been dynamite.
Yep.
It's been great. He's really found himself towards the end of last season. He was the only guy we could count on in our deal Volkswagen. Run for 71.
Do we still do that?
I'm out of the run for 71
I'm
game.
done. I don't think we have to do it
anymore. I'm done. No more overs with the Marlins. You cannot trust these people to win a lot of games, unfortunately.
No way.
Whatever problems could be thrown their way. I mean, I know they re-signed Miggy, too. They got Mr. Marlin back.
Exactly.
And now they have Alcantara. But 5 years, $50 million for a frontline pitcher?
No,
that seemed a little lame.
Ridiculous deal. So I guess they got hometown discount, which is pretty impressive.
Very nice, yeah. So that's very, very encouraging that they will have at least one ball player plus Miggy on the team. But we don't know what else is going to happen with them, and they're certainly not operating. I love Derek Jeter, and I'm rooting for him. And we're big Marlin fans because we carried the games on the radio station we were on, and we got close to the team. And it's just easy to dump on a bad team.
Yes.
The guys on the team, they're all giving it everything that they have, but what do they have? That's the question. They don't have the ingenuity, and few teams, if any, do, of the Tampa Bay Rays in Major League
Oh,
Baseball.
no one does. I mean, even the
Oakland
A's.
A's maybe come close, but nobody has
The Rays will
had
get
the
to the World
success of the
Series.
Rays.
The Rays will do this schmegdom and find the way in the World Series. Like the
In the
A's.
AL East. I mean, that's the incredible thing with Boston spending money, with the Yankees going after it every year,
Blue Jays
claiming
spend
it.
money.
Yeah, Blue Jays went all in. The only team that's out of it, the Orioles, who at one time, believe it or not, were deemed to be the role model and the dynamic that you wanted to achieve to be a successful team.
Yeah.
I think that goes back to when like Paul Blair was patrolling
80s
center
and the
field.
90s. I mean, they were good most of my life. And into the 2000s is when once Ripken retired, it sort of hit the skids.
No, it's been ugly for a long, long time with him. And, they had the new stadium. They had everything going. They had, like, Boog Powell making ribs out there in right field. And couldn't raise a gallop, man. At one time, right? Remember they had the 420-game winners? That was a long time ago, Dave.
That was before my time.
All right, John Feinstein coming up here in just a moment. Destination Sport Miami going strong. I tell you, if you're looking for legendary stuff, this is what's going to be achieved here. I mean, they're just planting the seed right now, Destination Sport Miami, and all the good people involved there. I saw Randy Moss doing a nice job carrying those other stiffs on the pregame show again. No, he was working with good people last night. Right? Steve Young, he doesn't even watch football. He admits it. I haven't seen a game in years. Good-looking kid. And nobody could question his achievements. Does he deserve a spot on the set there? Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Anyway, Randy Moss doing a fine job. He's going to be running the football programs for Destination Sport Miami. Levon Hernandez, one of our favorites here. I mean, pitched forever in the bigs and loves kids, man. Did you sense that? He loves kids.
Yeah,
He's going to be running like youth baseball programs. This is going to be the largest indoor multifaceted sports facility anywhere in the North American continent, on the continent, my friend. And that's saying a lot, but I believe it'll be anywhere in the world. I really do.
Outside of like Dubai, I think there's nothing going to touch it.
Somewhere, the sheik will get jealous, I'll buy another racehorse and put in a facility that might be a couple of square feet larger, but it won't be any better. That's for sure, because you have good people running all the programs and just a dynamic plan in place for Destination Sport Miami to house elite athletes, youth teams from all over the world going to come here and practice and get their acts together in the beautiful comfort of being under a roof there with full-fledged, in regulation, NFL fields, NHL rinks, NBA courts, all kinds of great stuff happening there. Check it out for yourself at destinationsportmiami.com, and we're coming right back in just a moment with John Feinstein. Looking forward to that conversation here on Ion Channel in a moment. Now that.
The time.
7:28.
It's the Gambling Gourmet for Cafe Seville in Fort Lauderdale. It's one of my favorite places. It is old school joint that's serving Spanish and classic continental cuisine in a cozy, friendly setting. It's at 2768 East Oakland Park Boulevard. They're open every day except Sunday for dinner, starting at 5 p.m. You go in there, you see Joey and his better half, Sally. They are giving the greatest in service. And the food, oh my gosh, it's paella, shrimp with garlic sauce, stuffed veal chop. They serve this great, fantastic, warm sourdough bread. Go to Cafe Seville in Fort Lauderdale and tell them that the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. What if I told you you could go to a great restaurant, feel completely safe because their COVID protocol is unmatched, have an amazing meal, have a great time. When the bill comes, you won't get sticker shock. You're going to say, that's too good to be true. No, it's not, because I'm talking about Texas Roadhouse. Great family atmosphere, great atmosphere for a couple, great atmosphere if you just want to go by yourself and watch a game and have the coldest beer in town. And while you're doing that, have the best bread in town. All at Texas Roadhouse. Everything you get there is fresh every day and made sure it's served at your table, hot and ready to go. And the best part is you don't get sticker shock because the prices are amazing. Texas Roadhouse.
Destination Sport Miami is here to revolutionize the sports landscape in South Florida. The largest indoor multifaceted sports complex in North America is on the way, with distinguished leaders of its various sports programs and unparalleled access to the finest indoor training fields and facilities. Destination Sport Miami will set South Florida apart as the destination of choice for elite athletic training and development and for its dedication to youth programs and sports on all levels. A phenomenal concept and a powerful undertaking, Destination Sport Miami will also be an important commodity in the sports business community as well. Destination Sport Miami, its time has come.
Since day one of Old School, we've had Catholic Health Services be part of our family. They are recognized as the quintessential rehab facility in the Southeast for strokes, but it goes well beyond strokes because Catholic Health Services is in the community of South Florida to help the community stay healthy. And if they're not healthy, get them healthy and get them back on their feet quicker than they could have ever expected. They do it every single day. It's step and repeat 24/7. Catholic Health Services.
Buy or lease a Taos and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen. Stupid? We're smart. We want respect. That's why we bring on gentlemen like this to add a dose of intellect to an otherwise bozoic show. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He's Mike Lubie. Lubitz, 940 wins, 1230 the zone around the world on the iHeartRadio app. This gentleman authored so much brilliance when it comes to the sporting world. We welcome to the show John Feinstein. First of all, how are you, John? Now, what aren't you doing? We may as well get into your projects here right away because you keep busy, my friend.
Well, good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Lubie. It's good to talk to you guys. Thank you for having me on. And if I'm bringing a dose of intellect to the show, you really are in trouble. I will say that.
I can assure you that's a fact, my friend.
The best way to kick off your day is with Defo plus Lubie. We now return to the Defo Show.
Well, once again, everybody, as we head towards Thanksgiving Day and the Big Turkey Day special here, Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz with you on Ion Channel, ionchannel.com. And as we say, just Google the Defo Show, and you catch us in our full audio and video splendor. Now, it's always a pleasure to welcome this gentleman to the program. It really does. I mean, there's no question about it, Lubie. You would have to say that with the usual cast of characters we have on the show, this definitively adds a dose of distinction. Bring on a guy who, as we've said many, many times, and I had the over-under at like 35, but it's
written like 70.
To Wikipedia, like 44 books. How many is it? John Feinstein, distinguished author and just a great All-American.
This book is, in fact, my 44th book.
Wow,
it's basically, I've written books since 1986 as a way to keep my ex-wife happy.
Yeah, I mean, fire your agent if you have to. Give her 100% of the proceeds from this one. You know what? And I just punched on a little Wikipedia to get the total here because I had an over/under proposition bet with Leslie Visser going on my personal text, and she said it was like 35 books. And I don't know. I mean, you slipped in like
mentioned.
Yeah, you slipped in like 10 in the last couple of years, but. And one of the notes was about Season on the Brink, which was a classic and was made into a movie on ESPN. How was Brian Dennehy? What did you think of his portrayal?
Don't bring up the movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah. How was Brian Dennehy as Bobby Knight? As I recall, he didn't exactly come off as being Knight-esque.
Well, I think he was not great casting. He was a great actor, in my opinion.
Yes.
He wasn't. But the problem wasn't Brian Dennehy. The problem was the script because they hired a guy who didn't know anything about basketball to write a basketball script, and then they went to Canada to save money, and what was supposed to be Assembly Hall looked like a dingy high school gym, and they made up characters that didn't exist. It was one of those deals where you learn. As an author, that you don't just sign a contract that says, okay, you get paid a certain amount and then they can do whatever the hell they want. I don't even like to think about the movie. I'm very proud of the book. But the movie I could have lived without. Now, my book on Bruce Edwards,
yes.
Caddy for Life, was turned into a documentary that I wrote. So needless to say, I thought that was really good.
There you go.
All right. So you incurred more problems probably than Mario Puzo did when some of those things came out in The Godfather. All right. The new book is fascinating, and everybody's raving about it. So what I know you've touched on this before, talking about, and you're not afraid to tackle very sensitive issues, John Feinstein. So tell us about this new book about race.
Well, it's called Raise a Fist, Take a Knee. So that kind of tells you where I'm going right away, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yes.
I've been around racial issues in sports since I was in college, as I described in the introduction. And what really set me off in terms of feeling I needed to do this book as a reporter were the anthem protests in 2017, because I was doing an NFL book that year, and I was in an NFL stadium every Sunday, and every Sunday it was the same thing. Several dozen players kneeling, or fewer, but players kneeling, and thousands of fans booing. And the fans were almost all white, and the players were almost all black. And I thought to myself, boy, are we polarized racially in this country right now? And I went to see John Thompson, who I'd had many battles with over the years, but eventually became a mentor to me because he was so smart. And I said, I want to write a book about race in sports. I don't know where to begin because it's such a massive topic. And he looked at me and he said, you might as well try to explain the Holy Trinity. And then he pointed his finger and said, which is why you have to do it. And so at that point, I knew I wanted to do it. My publisher didn't want me to do it. My agent didn't want me to do it. I had to go out and find a publisher myself, which when you've written 43 books, you wouldn't think you'd have to do that, but I
You're on the
did.
streets there. Yeah, Kramer versus Kramer, Christmas Eve. I mean, trying to find a job.
Yeah, I did something like that. And Little Brown, which had been my publisher in the past, decided they wanted to do the book. Thank goodness. And what really happened, Jeff, when I started doing the research, was I realized that my premise wasn't right. That saying that we are divided, polarized racially in this country is like saying that this is Tuesday morning and Thursday's Thanksgiving.
Yep.
It's a given. But what I did find, I interviewed about 100 guys, most of them black, not all, was I found that even in 2021, even with all the progress we've made, going back to segregation and Jim Crow and when blacks were considered not smart enough to play quarterback, which lasted well into the 1970s, we still have a long way to go. And I think what Ozzie Newsome, who was the first black general manager in the NFL and has won 2 Super Bowls with the Ravens, said it best. He said, in 1970, I tried out for a Pop Warner team, and I was walking over to, stand with the quarterbacks when they said quarterbacks go here, running backs here, et cetera. And I realized they're not going to let me play quarterback. I'm black. There were no black quarterbacks in the NFL at that moment. Marlon Briscoe had played for the Broncos in the AFL. And so he went in with the receivers and, of course, ended up in the Hall of Fame. But his point was that 50 years later, things are certainly better. I mean, probably 5 of the 6 or 7 best quarterbacks in the NFL are black, but you still have to be twice as good, especially to get a job as a coach, as a general manager, as a CEO. And it's not just in football. It's across all sports. How many black baseball managers are there right now? 2. And you can go to college football. 70% of the players are black. 10% of the coaches are black. And Richard Lapchick, who you guys may be familiar with because he's down there in Florida at the University of Central Florida, has been keeping stats on this for years. And some of the numbers are appalling, frankly. So, but it's more about the way you live your life, this book. Every single black person I interviewed, everyone has been stopped for DWB at least once, driving while black, at least once, in some cases, many cases, multiple times. The best story, though, was Cohen Jones, the Olympic swimmer, who went out to walk his dog at dusk one night, and a police car went by him, slammed to a halt, made a U-turn, came back, and the cop said to him, "Where did you get that dog?" "It's my dog." "Oh, really?"
Steals dogs.
Yeah.
"It's a bulldog terrier." And I finally said to Cohen, "Well, you're the first person I've interviewed who got stopped for WDWB, walking dog walk."
What's that?
Yeah, I know Lubie's got one for you, but I think we discussed this before because I remember when I was first starting out in Los Angeles as a newspaper guy, covered some Rams games, and you had James Harris, and he clearly looked the part of the strapping prototype NFL
Yeah.
quarterback. And you had a guy that looked like Skylo Low by comparison there, Pat Hayden, who was this cerebral quarterback who couldn't exactly hoist the ball down the field like the fans wanted. And, it was widely speculated that the only reason that Harris wasn't starting was because he was black. I don't know if you got into that in the book, but that was a giant LA controversy.
One of the many early black quarterbacks that I talked to, excuse me. I mean, as I said, I talked to Marlon Briscoe. I talked to James Harris. I talked to Doug Williams, wrote the foreword for the book, who I've known for years. And the foreword is well worth reading. I mean, you can say what you want about me. The foreword is well worth reading. And I talked to Warren Moon and all along the list. And James Harris, as you said, when he came out of Grambling, he played for the great Eddie Robinson. Grambling had all sorts of first-round draft picks through the years and Hall of Famers, as you guys know. He was 6'4". He had a cannon for an arm. And they said, well, if you play tight end, you'll move up in the draft. And he said, no, I'm a quarterback. And eventually he was drafted in the 8th round by the Buffalo Bills.
Wow.
And played so well in training camp that he actually started the first game of that season. And then eventually Jack Kemp took over. And you guys remember Jack Kemp went on to serve in Congress. Yeah. And then he got traded to the Rams, and he was the starter for several years. You were out there.
Yes.
Jeff, and they went to the playoffs. They went 12-2 one year, and then the whole thing happened with Pat Hayden, and James got injured. And but the other thing is, it's not only harder to get the job when you're black; it's harder to keep the job. Lovie Smith got fired by the Bears after going to a Super Bowl, and 3 years later went 10-6 and got fired. How often does that happen? A coach gets fired with a 10-6 record. Tony Dungy took over a horrific Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that hadn't been to the playoffs in 17 years, went 4 years out of 5 and got fired because, quote, his playoff record wasn't good enough. And, there's definitely a shorter leash, whether you're a player or a coach or certainly as a general manager. Dave Stewart worked for years, the great Oakland A's pitcher, to become a general manager. Finally, Tony La Russa, his old manager, hired him to be the general manager in Arizona. And 2 years later, even though he had worked hard to rebuild a bad team, they said, you're done. And he's never gotten another job. I mean, I could go through the list. We could stay here till noon. But people might say, well, you're just trying to make race an issue. No, I'm not trying to make race an issue. Race is an issue, and it's unfortunate.
We're talking about the one and only John Feinstein, best-selling author, columnist, editor with the Washington Post, sports commentator, sportscaster, as well as a new book, Raise a Fist, Take a Knee, Race and the Illusion of Progress in Modern Sports. John, what I find interesting is you've covered everything in sports, both as a writer and author. You aren't scared to talk about anything. No, people read you because of that. Yet publishers wouldn't want to touch, I don't know. In this time, this is what people are talking about on both sides of the aisle. I find it very interesting why they were so scared to touch this. What was the feedback you were getting? Why were they so weird about publishing this book? It seems like it's needed.
Well, I agree with you, obviously, Lubie. But how many people voted for Donald Trump last year? 74 million people. And there's a lot of fear of the right wing. And even though I've worked for Golf Digest, and there is there's some about golf in this book, and the as Jay Monahan, the commissioner, put it, the very questionable racial history of golf. That's putting it politely. Golf Digest didn't want to excerpt anything from this book because they were afraid that their subscribers, because golf fans tend to lean right, either right or far right, would object. And I think a lot of New York publishers, there was my publisher at Doubleday at the time, a guy named Bill Thomas, who was a very smart guy. But when I first proposed the book, he said, how can you write a book on race when you're white? And I said, well, white is a race. And I said, I've written books about college basketball coaches for years. I never coached. I've written books about playing on a professional golf tour for years. I never did. I said, the point of the book is the reporting. Reporting is what I do. I'll go out and I'll talk to people, and I'll talk. I can't pretend that I know what it's like to be black. I would never do that. But I talk to people who do know what it's like to be black. You know, like I said, about 100 of them, and that's what I do. But your point is well taken, Lubie, that a lot of people are still afraid of the issue. It's a hot button issue. It's been the elephant in the room for 400 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And as Ozzie Newsome points out, it's still very much an issue. Tony Dungy, you guys know Tony Dungy.
Yeah.
He is not exactly a jump up on the table and wave his arms kind of guy.
No, very low key.
I brought up Eric Bieniemy's name, and I said Eric Bieniemy, and before I could ask a question, he said, "Now that's racism," because Eric Bieniemy has been the offensive coordinator for the best offense in football for 3 years, and was a quarterbacks coach for the Chiefs before that. Worked under one of the great offensive minds, Andy Reid. He has been interviewed 11 times.
Oh, God.
And I talked to Eric Bieniemy, so don't tell me he doesn't interview well, because he's bright and articulate and a storyteller. How is that possible? How is it possible that in a league where 75% of the players are black, 2 of the last 20 coaching hires have been black?
Oh, wow.
2 out of 20. This is Tony Dungy talking. I happen to agree with him, but like I said, he's not a guy who pounds his fist on the table and says, change things now. But he does make, and he told me that on several occasions when he's pointed things out, he gets texts and tweets and stuff from people saying, why are you always making race an issue? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I never got that impression from Dungy. We had the pleasure of being in his company many times. Yeah. And it was always just a real gentleman and made you feel like, wow. I mean, I wish everybody had this kind of demeanor, whether it was in sports or anywhere around the planet. John Feinstein, our special guest.
He as a person is that he and his wife have adopted 11 kids.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, I wish I was that good a guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, I couldn't, I couldn't begin to say how much respect I have for him from the couple of things I was able to do with him one-on-one. Raise a fist, take a knee, race and the illusion of progress in modern sports. That's the new book out by John Feinstein. I keep thinking, when you're talking about all these publishers turning their back on you and people rejecting the idea or saying that you were nuts to even go into this endeavor, I was watching a Godfather. I was streaming a little Godfather this weekend, and it's like Fredo saying to Michael, "You don't come to Las Vegas and talk to a man like Mo Green like that. You're John Feinstein, for God's sake." And these guys are laughing at the notion. It could be Mo Green in this case. I mean, you had all the goods. There was no reason to take this kind of guff. All right. The NFL, though, would make you believe that they are very much in tune with this whole social movement and the desire to advance, yet they have trouble enforcing their own Rooney Rule. And, it seems to be, I mean, that was where you go, and have Gene Upshaw go in for an interview, and then that's it. Okay. And then 11 white guys follow him into the GM's office.
The hiring of Mike Tomlin was pretty much a fluke.
Yep.
Because he was interviewed for the Rooney Rule and he blew the Rooneys away. Ironically, it was the Rooney family. And we all know what kind of coach Mike Tomlin's been for the last 15 years. And, but what was interesting is, talking to Tomlin is like getting a PhD in life. I mean, he's so smart and thoughtful. And I didn't know him before I began the research on this book. And now, I love him. I mean, I text him almost every day. He must be sick of me. But Mike Tomlin and the aforementioned Tony Dungy both said something interesting to me, because Roger Goodell was the only commissioner who refused to be interviewed by me for this book.
Is that right? Wow.
And I think
Mr. Love, peace, and
God. I think the reason is because he's embarrassed. And Dungy and Tomlin both said that because they know Goodell a lot better than I do. And they both said, they believe Roger Goodell would like to see things change, but he doesn't have the power. The owners have all the power. For all the money Goodell makes, and we joke about it, he can't go walk into any of those owners and say, for crying out loud, how can you not hire Eric Bieniemy? How can you not hire either of the coordinators in Tampa after what they did last year? He doesn't have that power. The owners do. The owners are mostly, as you guys know, old white guys.
Yep.
And they are looking for coaches who look like they think a coach should look. They're looking for quarterbacks who look like a quarterback should look. I mean, how in the world did Mitchell Trubisky get drafted ahead of Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson? I mean, I'm not a scout. I'm not an expert in football, but I watched enough to know that those guys were better than Mitchell Trubisky.
Surprisingly, he's not a Dolphin. Yeah.
But he was 6'4" and he was white. And they said, "Oh yeah, that's our guy." How'd that work out? And then, of course, there was the Lamar Jackson case, which really was what got me into the book, where he was told throughout the scouting period, be a wide receiver, be a tight end, be a running back. This goes back to Warren Moon in the 70s, being told, if you change positions, you'll get drafted. Wow. And he refused to do it, and, of course, was not drafted. It was a 12-round draft back then. And he had to go play in Canada for 6 years. And what happened when he finally got to play in the U.S.? He became a Hall of Famer, that's all, after losing 6 years. And so now we're in 2018, and the same kind of thing is still going on. And all the, Bill Polian, who's a Hall of Fame general manager, he should be a wide receiver. And Lamar Jackson refused. He said, I am a quarterback. He wouldn't run a 40 at the combine because he knew they'd use that as an excuse to say you're a wide receiver because he's fast, as we've seen. And it took a black general manager, Ozzie Newsome, for him to not fall out of the first round. Well, what's the result been? We've seen it. He was a unanimous MVP a couple of years ago, and he's one of the 3 or 4 best quarterbacks in football. So even now, we're still dealing with it. And that's sort of one of the major points of the book, that a lot of people would like to believe that race is no longer an issue. And we'd all like to believe that. It just happens not to be true.
Sounds fascinating. Can't wait to get a copy of this, get my hands on it. Raise a Fist, Take a Knee, Race and the Illusion of Progress in Modern Sports. John Feinstein, always a pleasure, my friend. And,
guys, I always enjoy talking to you. You know that.
Thanks, John.
Very enlightening, yeah. And we didn't even mention Dan Snyder once during the conversation.
Exactly, a whole one time without Dan Snyder.
We didn't get the whole Niagara Falls effect from John
way
Feinstein.
Beyond race, trust me.
John, good luck with the book, and thanks so much for writing it and being on the show.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
You as well, John.
All right, thank you. John Feinstein, ladies and gentlemen. Talked to a lot of interesting people. I mean, is this guy thorough or what? Well, we conduct like one interview with Harvey Fialkoff when we consider our day done. This guy's like digging up James Harris and, all of these different people that were involved in I don't know. I mean, how large of an evolution it's been. Obviously, it's gone somewhere from where it was at when Jackie Robinson broke into baseball. Yet still, with all the homage and the token attention that's paid by various leagues and commissioners to these issues, they really have done little. As John Feinstein said, I guess to the point of embarrassment. That was kind of interesting on the part of Roger Goodell, that he possibly is embarrassed by the state of affairs in the National Football League. But he keeps bringing those rappers in for the halftime show at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
What is that all about there, Lubie?
I don't know.
All right.
I have no idea.
All right, anyway, John Feinstein, great stuff. Joe Facero going to join us next, talk a little baseball. Hall of Fame ballot out there, and A-Rod, of course, making his first appearance there on the ballot. Big Papi is also on the David Ortiz, also on the ballot for the first time. For the last time, you have Curt Schilling, who everybody hates. He almost made it last time. People despise Curt Schilling, so he got like nearly 72% of the vote. You only need 75. Well, only need being a rather, large consideration. But nonetheless, he was as close as anybody that didn't make it last year in terms of getting into the Hall of Fame. But then he denounced the Hall of Fame and said, I have no interest in being in your stupid Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. Curt Schilling, bloody sock. Then he sued him for the bloody sock back. Exactly. And it turned out he had gone dusty roads. He had broken a blood capsule in the sock there to add to the drama of the moment. Who would have figured this guy was going to take people down for like millions and hundreds of millions of dollars and then just skate by? Almost made that sound again, Libby. Skate by. And also, you have Barry Bonds and of course, Sammy Sosa, I guess, is on his last leg there. And Roger Clemens. So I don't know. The theory was, we'll ask Joe about that everybody's going to torment them and just make them wait till their last year and then vote them in. and they gained steady steam in regard to getting closer. They had like 61, 62% Bonds and Clemens, and so there's a possibility. I don't know. You think that happens? Into the Hall of Fame, Lubie, or do you care?
We will see. I don't think they will. I think they should, but I don't think they will.
All right. We're coming back with Joe. We'll talk a little baseball. Hialeah Park, though, doing great, and that's December 12th. That handicapping tournament with 2 seats available, two freebies to the National Handicapping Championship. That is huge. You can win $1 million there, Lubie. And this is just for a $500 buy-in, $300 of which is your bankroll. And then you work with that. You keep your bank, whatever you win during the course of the tournament. And then there's the prize money, which 50% of the prize pool, which is like $125 of every entry, 50% of that goes back to the winner also. And it's scaled down from there if you finish in the money in the tournament. That's December 12th, Champions Simulcasting Room. It's going to be great. HialeahPark.com, where you can find out more information and get your application and get your entry in advance of this handicapping tournament with 2 seats for the NHC, man. That is the granddaddy of them all. It's like the World Series of Poker for horse players, Lubie, and a lot of fun. I was out there with Evan, don't mention my name, who won the Hialeah tournament, so he's going back again this year to the NHC with another freebie entry, which is fantastic. I mean, imagine having a free shot at $1 million. You wouldn't take that? For your horse handicapping acumen. I have the Larry Little, and that's going to be great. The dinner, the Hall of Fame dinner, is just absolutely fantastic. The golf tournament, information about that on the HialeahPark.com website as well. And, of course, all the daily action that goes on there, which is just absolutely terrific. Make sure you make your plans to visit Hialeah Park. All right, coming back with Joe Frisero, talking some baseball. Harvey Fialkoff, the agent to the stars, Brett Tesser, also with us on the program today here on Ion Channel. Great to be with you. As we head, the countdown is on, just 2 days from Thanksgiving. He's Mike Lubitz. I'm Jeff Deforrest, and we'll be back with more in a moment. Now that.
Time!
Thank you, Johnny. It's 7:57. Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. What if I told you you could go to a great restaurant, feel completely safe because their COVID protocol is unmatched, have an amazing meal, have a great time. When the bill comes, you won't get sticker shock. You're going to say, that's too good to be true. No, it's not, because I'm talking about Texas Roadhouse. Great family atmosphere, great atmosphere for a couple, great atmosphere if you just want to go by yourself and watch a game and have the coldest beer in town. And while you're doing that, have the best bread in town. All at Texas Roadhouse. Everything you get there is fresh every day and made sure it's served at your table, hot and ready to go. And the best part is you don't get sticker shock because the prices are amazing. Texas Roadhouse.
Hey, it's Mike Mayo for Even Keel Fish Shack, corner of A1A and Commercial Boulevard at Lauderdale by the Sea. It's my favorite place now for great seafood in a casual beachfront setting. They've got happy hour 4 to 7 Monday through Friday. They've got great dishes like grilled oysters and oysters on the half shell, bang bang shrimp, lobster rolls, octopus. They also have burgers and chicken for those who don't like the seafood. They're open 7 days a week for a lunch, dinner, and weekend brunch. Go to Even Keel Fish Shack. Go say hi to Dave and Brad and tell them the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call an insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side?
Buy or lease a Taos and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. It is Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen. Let's hope we're dead wrong about a lot of things. That could be another book that we put out. Let's hope we're dead wrong about a lot of things. The end is near. You can tell the end is near, man. You could definitely do that.
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show, and great to be with you. John Feinstein, fascinating. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz, the Defo Show here on Ion Channel, and all around the world, streaming both audio and video. And this is fascinating because many of our guests, we tell them, hey, just punch it up on your computer, and you can come on, be part of our video configuration here. And we're usually met with, what? I don't have a computer. But here's a man of style and class. Joe Frisaro going to join us. Just a couple of notes. Joe, how are you, by the way? Thanks for coming on the show.
Defo, Lubie, how you guys doing? I'm doing great.
We're doing fine, and we want to get into some baseball stuff with you. But a news item from the Gambling Gourmet, and I'm not sure exactly how to interpret this, but federal judge tosses out Seminole sports betting compact in Florida.
Nice.
So that was going to be in the courts. So they already found some federal judge or whatever other factions are involved here that say, you know what? We can't let those guys control everything.
Exactly.
And I'm not sure what that means for the future, the immediate future and or the long-term future of sports betting in South Florida. But it had already started. So does this guy have any jurisdiction over there on 441? Like when you make a right on Lucky Street, you're on, Native American territory there, and, they're kind of immune from any federal law. So we'll see what happens with that. Joe, how are you, my friend? Good to have you on the program.
Oh, doing great, Defo. Doing great.
All right. And we were talking earlier about the Hall of Fame, and I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but just curious. And, you have the theory out there was that Bonds and Clemens would maybe eventually get in because other juicers or presumed juicers have made their way into the Baseball Hall of Fame. People were questioning Piazza. Bagwell certainly might qualify as somebody that was suspect, at least. But the theory was, Joe, that you would have these guys get in after their final year of eligibility came up, which is this year. Do you believe that will be the case?
Oh, boy. For Bonds and Clements, I think it's still a long road. I'm a few years away from qualifying from voting. If I did have a vote, I would vote for them. I think that there probably is enough whispers to know that there are people in the hall that may not have been all in the up and up. But those also guys were the two greatest players I ever covered in terms of position player and pitcher. Yeah, I mean, those guys would have my vote. The interesting thing with Bonds was, when he was the hitting coach down here in 2016, he really endeared himself to the media, the same people that he spent, a long career keeping at arm's length, to say the least. And I think he kind of had fun here, even interacting with the media. And he even, spoke that one of his regrets was that he probably could have been a little nicer, which may have gotten him some remorse in his actions that people think are accusing him of doing.
A little nicer might be an understatement there. I think Matt Williams, when he was with the Giants, got more interviews because of the fact that that throne that Barry had in the locker room was seldom occupied during the time when reporters were in the clubhouse there.
Yeah. I was happened to be in the Giants clubhouse one time when Barry was there, and he was on. It is nice. He had his throne, but in all fairness, when at the old Marlins Park there, I kind of had my little throne over in the corner for my seniority for my post-game interviews with the manager. But I
throne to throne.
I tried not to be as evil to my peers, though.
All right, so that's happening, and now A-Rod gets on the list, and we've been speculating that the next time A-Rod says something interesting as a color commentator on a baseball game will be the first time that he ever said anything interesting. Well, what, Joe Frisaro, in your opinion, is the fascination with A-Rod other than his at one time arrangement that he had with J-Lo?
Yeah, I mean, he kind of became, very compelling, and he's very marketable now. He's all over, Sunday Night Baseball, and
He's
now
on Shark Tank, for God's sake.
Yeah, A-Rod's everywhere, and the only place he may not be is the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
He's going to be kind of the same, fate that Barry and Roger. Just in the era of performance enhancing drugs, and he was attached to it. And I'd be kind of stunned if he got in at least right away. I mean, there's no disputing the talent. I mean, that's the thing. It's just going to be, I think the younger voters, a lot more tolerant and see some of the hypocrisy of some of the hardline stances and other players, or what are we voting on? I always looked at it this way, guys. If their name was on the ballot, I think you should have not. Why do you put that in the BBWA's hands? It's like, I think if you don't feel the Hall wants them on for reasons, and I know they're staunch to Bob Costas, to Tom Verducci's, and I respect their stance as well. But these guys' names are on the ballot, which puts it in the hands of the writers to play judge, jury, moral authority, moral compass. I mean, you mentioned Schilling before we went to break. I mean, here's a guy who's I didn't know if Schilling, performance-wise, I would have voted for him, but he's offended like everyone in America about 4 times, and it's not
taken most of their money too, I think, in the process.
Usually, the best way to go about winning support when you need 75% of a generally skeptical group to begin with.
Well, who fleeced more investors, Lenny Dykstra or Kurt Schilling? That would be also a consideration.
That's the thing. You're getting on all these lines. But like I said, my thing with A-Rod, there's no doubting the numbers, the talent. I think he's Hall of Famer. I'm probably get yelled at by those that are Schilling defenders in terms of his numbers. I didn't know if he was there as a pitcher. I know he was great in the postseason. If you just look at his body of work, was that a Hall of Fame body of work? I'm not convinced it was. Sometimes pitching's getting a little cloudier now with, like I didn't know if Mussina was, but there was a longevity thing. 200 wins is now the 300 wins. There's a lot that goes on for pitchers to begin with, but those are guys. Obviously, it makes it compelling and it makes conversational. And really, there's no real answers because we have these same conversations every year. But I do think that I do like to think the greatest players of all time should be in Cooperstown, or if in one shape or form. I know there's the Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe, the whole gambling thing, but now, we're going to have gambling in baseball, in terms of sponsoring and prop betting and so forth are on the way. I just think there's a lot of cloudy issues, but I think moving forward, the voting body will be a little more tolerant of what my generation and before was a lot more hard line.
We're talking with Joe Frisaro, longtime baseball writer, covered the Marlins for a long time, founder of Man on Second. He's also a contributor with 5 Reasons Sports, where you can also find us here on Channel. You can also find us 5 Reasons Sports later in the day. Find him on Twitter at Joe Frisaro. Joe, I find it interesting and actually impressive, your stance, because you just said it. A lot of the baseball writers, and they're not all Bob Costas. Plenty of guys are in their 30s and 40s, but we know baseball is a very traditionalist sport. And look, I used to have that stance when it comes to this stuff. My problem is when you're picking and choosing, well, we like Bonds. We hate Bonds, so we can't get in, but we like Bagwell. Who used roids more? At least Bonds felt like a Hall of Famer most of his career. Bagwell, we don't know what he would have been. I think that's a weird game to play, and I'm actually impressed by you saying, look, who cares? Schilling may not have been because of numbers, but if you have the numbers, you should get in.
Yeah, I mean, there is other factors. I mean, there are things that I think you could do to disqualify yourself. The whole PED era came during a time where most of it was before testing. I mean, the NFL, I covered the NFL for the Tampa Tribune well way back in the day, and a lot of players that were accused are in the Hall of Fame in that era. But there was no real pushback. The NFL, unlike to me, Major League Baseball likes to basically eat its own and devour itself more than probably any other sport. The other sports would kind of look, hey, look, maybe some bad things went on, but we're not really going to go nutso reminding everyone about it. But in baseball, we find it perfectly fine to suspend the best players in the game and do it unabashedly, which, not to say that that's a wrong stance, except for what if you just told your audience? You just told your audience that we're kind of a little bit of skeptical sport sometimes. But that said, it's there are rules, there are standards and guidelines. You just don't know whether they're evenly. And I never really felt like, I don't know. I mean, even knowing Bonds, I don't know exactly what he did. I don't know what how much or whatnot. The guy Canseco with the book, he kind of exposed all of it. And initially in his book at the end, he was like, hey, look, it's not, how did he say? I don't want to misquote it, but it was almost like it's not the worst thing in the world, because with, if you take stuff in moderation, it's not necessarily hurtful to the body and, that type of stuff. And then he kind of changed his stance a little bit when it got, a lot more publicity. But I know, guys, I always and I even mentioned this to some of my friends in the Players Association, say, why don't you, if guys feel the need that the game is played every day and wear and tear is such a big part of baseball for 162 games over 6 months of literally playing every day, but maybe like 4 days off a month, why don't you make like a legal performance enhancing supplement that players can take? Because isn't that really what it's down to? I don't think guys were really taking for an edge and strength. Anyone who trains is looking to get an edge in strength training and whatnot. But why don't you develop something that, would make guys, feel healthy enough to be on the field every day, which doesn't feel like it's we're at a horse event or whatever, where you're juicing up a horse to go win the Kentucky Derby. I always wondered why you can't. There's enough out there. There's enough good legal over the counter products. Why can't they do that? But that's a story for another day.
Bob Baffert will be the next commissioner. I think the scene that epitomized, and you have to also say, and this factors into this Hall of Fame argument, you're looking at a game that was condoning this. I mean, Bud Selig is there giving Pentangeli testimony saying he knew nothing about this. And there's Canseco sitting next to him with like a syringe in Bud's neck as he's speaking and saying, well, we don't know nothing about this. So, it seemed to be something that was overlooked in the game. The game was kind of flattening out a little bit in public opinion. All of a sudden, everybody's hitting home runs. That's all anybody was talking about. And, it couldn't have been any more of a spark for the game at the time to have the assault on virtually all of these records. Quick thought, Joe Frisaro, we thank you so much for being with us. The Marlins, who you cover and have been very tightly entwined with there in terms of reporting for many, many years. They make a big move there yesterday, signed Sandy Alcantara. We don't know what that means. We're what now? Is this the fourth year of the new Jeter, Bruce Sherman regime? And we don't really have any great definition. We thought maybe we were onto something last year, but that kind of fell apart. Where do we stand with this team? And should we be looking at the Marlins under the light of, is this going to go on forever, this so-called rebuilding, stripped-down process?
Yeah, we're in year 5, and yeah, there's need for progress coming off a 95 loss season. Locking up your best player is never a bad thing, especially when he's entering arbitration and you're trying to convince not just your fan base but your audience, your other players in baseball who know that the Marlins have had a history of trading away players. So locking up Sandy for 5 years, 55, 60, whatever the number ends up being, is a very good start. That's it's at least a sign to the players on the roster. Obviously, you have Miguel Rojas is locked up for a year or two with the club option, but you getting your best pitcher who's reaching his prime years, that's a smart move. And so, yes, that's a good start to an off season that the Marlins have high expectations on. And, he's a really good pitcher. And so it's a really good sign. And I tweeted out yesterday that it's significant obviously for fans who are skeptical, but for other free agents, because there are free agents that are looking and saying, look, if I get $100 million from the Marlins and $100 million from, let's say, the Phillies, where am I going to go? I want to win. Well, the Phillies have Bryce Harper. They have, JT Realmuto. They got guys locked up. If the Marlins don't sign Sandy, you could sit around and go and say, wait a minute. What if we get off to a slow April? Is our best pitcher going to be here at the deadline in July? So it's at least shows if I'm a prospective free agent and have, I'm going to buy into the Marlins message that we got a good young core, then you go for it. So I think it's a really good move for the Marlins, and the contract still isn't going to be prohibitive to the point where they can't sign some more high profile players. And if you stink in a couple of years, you can still move them because it's a very attractive contract.
Joe Frisaro, man on second. You can catch him. Great insight into baseball. Joe, thanks so much for joining us here on the show. Ion Channel. You look great, kid. And it's always a pleasure. We'll have to do it again very soon, and we'll see how all of these various things play out in Major League Baseball. Thanks so much for being with us.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Joe.
All right. Joe Frisaro, ladies and gentlemen. Get that podcast going. A long time with MLB, MLB.com, right? He was covering the Marlins for MLB Network and, done a variety of different things in journalism here over the years, but very close to that situation. Hey, if you're close to a decision or maybe you're far away when it comes to your health insurance, Lubie,
yes.
I don't know how you're set up now that you're operating independently
move,
here.
But it's very important and it's not easy. Like you could definitely use someone to make it easier.
And then all these things are out there with like Medicare supplements, which, I have one, which I've been very satisfied with. But, you need people to guide you to the right decision. And that's where HST Insurance comes in. They understand how confusing this time can be, man. Hey, what do I know? And they can help you navigate your way and find out all of your options. Whether you're looking for yourself or trying to find a policy for your entire family, they have a plan designed for you. Their trusted advisors can find a plan that meets your needs, and they can do it right away. So call them at 855-282-8022. That's 855-282-8022. This isn't Tom Selleck trying to push you towards a reverse mortgage saying it's a good idea. I'm talking about people that are going to give you free advice. HST
Nice
Insurance here. All right, Harvey Fialkov coming up here on the program. He'll no doubt be very opinionated about that. I'm not sure if he's a fan of the Juicers or not. I'm going to say no to that.
Probably not.
Old school baseball traditionalist, right? A geezer. Been watching baseball. Yeah, I was watching when, you were dating cheerleaders, right?
Well, I was there too.
Mo Green, yeah.
I was there too until like the last decade where they started letting people in. And they're like, well, we got sick of not having classes, so we got to let people in. We're just going to do the guys we like. If we like you, we don't care what you did. Well, that's not right. Like, it shouldn't be finale, because then why is Ty Cobbin? Wasn't he a son of a bitch? Like, we never did.
When Victor Conti is your nutritionist, though, I mean, took a little exception with what Joe was saying. Well, we don't know what was happening. We know what was happening. The guy invented this stuff. Are you kidding me? He was there with the chemist. He was with Jonas Salk. Right? When he said, hey, look at this, man. We can stop this whole thing right here with this little sugar cube full of this red juice. All right, we're coming up with more in a moment here. Harvey Fialkov going to join us. Also, Brett Tesser, the agent of the Stars. His presence on the program brought to you by Will and Trust attorney, Mr. Michael D. Weil. Make sure your affairs are in order, because you never know, man, when it's check, please. All right, coming back with more on Ion Channel. Great to be with you a couple of days before Thanksgiving. Already feeling the festivities here. Jeff Deforrest. That is Mike Lubitz. If you're watching online, if you're just listening to the audio, we appreciate that. And the fine job that they're doing at Ion Channel with the program. A lot of nice comments here on our chat line. You can feel free to join in, although I haven't figured out how to get on there, Lubie, which I'm afraid to touch anything on the computer for fear of screwing up the broadcast.
I don't think it's going to.
And we are getting some comments off the air here, including a good friend of mine, a former producer of mine from New Jersey, who was working with me a long time ago on a radio show that I was doing here in South Florida. And he said, tell John Feinstein to eat a certain piece of your anatomy, because Lovie Smith was a terrible bleeping coach.
But Matt Nagy's great. Like, come on. I mean, that's a load of garbage.
There you go. I thought Lovie Smith was a joke. And I don't know. I would not be inclined to, in the middle of the interview, tell John Feinstein to go ahead and eat.
Yes.
No, it rhymes with Rick.
Or a penis.
All right, back with more in a moment. Now that's as risque as we want to get this morning here. It's Thanksgiving, for God's sake. It's time to talk to Harvey in just a moment.
Hey there, it's Mike Mayo. Do you like steaks? Do you like seafood? Do you like classic old Florida charm? You can get that all and more at Tropical Acres Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. It's at 2500 Griffin Road in Dania, just west of 95. The Studi Alley family, they've been running the place a long time. It's been there more than 70 years. And it is now a place you can get early bird specials along with steaks to take home and throw on the grill yourself at the Butcher Shop. That's open 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. It's open for dinner every night starting at 4:30, but they are closed on Sundays. Go to Tropical Acres. It's a place to go for a great meal, great people, good value. Tropical Acres.
The championship meet is right around the corner at Gulfstream Park. The only place for live racing, Gulfstream's action has never been hotter. Whether it's on the track, in the casino, or part of the dining and entertainment offered at the Village of Gulfstream Park. Currently running Thursday through Sunday, Gulfstream's racing package is the best in the country, with all the top horses and people in the game pointing towards another tremendous winter season. Check out the remodeled first floor casino, open 7 days and nights a week, along with the many special events and concerts happening at Gulfstream Park. You can place your wagers from anywhere at firstbet.com. Check the calendar of events at gulfstreampark.com. Destination Sport Miami is here to revolutionize the sports landscape in South Florida. The largest indoor multifaceted sports complex in North America is on the way, with distinguished leaders of its various sports programs and unparalleled access to the finest indoor training fields and facilities. Destination Sport Miami will set South Florida apart as the destination of choice for elite athletic training and development, and for its dedication to youth programs and sports on all levels. A phenomenal concept and a powerful undertaking, Destination Sport Miami will also be an important commodity in the sports business community as well. Destination Sport Miami, its time has come.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Since day one of Old School, we've had Catholic Health Services be part of our family. They are recognized as the quintessential rehab facility in the Southeast for strokes, but it goes well beyond strokes, because Catholic Health Services is in the community of South Florida to help the community stay healthy. And if they're not healthy, get them healthy and get them back on their feet quicker than they could have ever expected. They do it every single day. It's step and repeat, 24/7. Catholic Health Services.
Buy or lease a Taos and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy, with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen.
Here we are, 9 seconds left. Gators first down, 37-yard line, left hash. Snap to Franks. Frank upping back.
There's a guy open.
Nick!
There's a guy open.
Nick!
It's our guy.
Oh my God! 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 He did it! He did it! He did it! What? What? Oh my God! It's a miracle! Oh my God! Again, yeah!
The modern day art couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
For the uninitiated, and welcome back to the show here, Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz, the Defo Show here on Ion Channel, ionchannel.com. Just Google the Defo Show, for God's sake. That's all you have to do to find us, and people are catching on. We appreciate that. And for the uninitiated, though, that was our example of how a screaming color man can destroy what otherwise was pure Shakespearean literature being perfectly delivered there by the great McHubert on a dynamic call that he had of a game-winning last-second touchdown on a bomb against Tennessee by the Florida Gators. And that was a couple of seasons ago. And we're big fans of Mix, and you couldn't have hit this any better. But in the era of the Screaming Color Man, that was obliterated, or would have been obliterated had the guy there not been under a gag order, never to interrupt Mick while he's in the middle of a call there. Some guy, it's always a guy named Billy Bob, too, that's doing a color analysis on Gator games. We welcome to the show. And Harvey Fialkoff, of course, longtime sports writer here in town, South Florida Sun-Sentinel, now universally known for his coverage, including a dynamite tennis writer. And he gets very passionate about it. He'll have the Orange Bowl Junior Tournament, be describing that online for you on the Orange Bowl website. We welcome Harvey to the program here. Harvey, how are you, my friend?
Great, Dave. Thanks for the kind words. I'll also be trying to place several articles in the Miami Herald, because the tournament does take place at Salvador Park, at the beautiful Biltmore Hotel tennis complex, and also Crandon Park, where the old Key Biscayne, Miami Open used to be. So it's free for the public. It's the greatest junior tennis players on the planet. That so many of them become legends in the game. I was looking up numbers in the Junior Orange Bowl. That's the 12s and the 14s age division. The fascinating fact is not only did Chris Everett win the 12s, but her brother John Everett won, and her two sisters, Claire and Jeannie, also won, I think, the 14s or the 12s. So four members of the same family won an international class championship. Of course, Chrissy's the only one that really made it on the tour. But it's really kind of, I want to hope to interview Chrissy about this subject and get a story on the website, on the Orange Bowl website, and also hopefully the Miami Herald, where a lot of my friends are still on the desk. I'm sure they'll take up some of my articles.
That's good thinking there. You get Chris Everett, get some star power into that thing. That's what we try to do here on the show. And that's why we have you on, Harvey Fialkoff. Whatever happened, just out of curiosity, is she still playing at a high juniors level? Jim Kick's daughter, the late great Jim Kick, who we were friends with, but you had a daughter who was kind of an amateur phenom. What happened with her?
Well, Allie Kick, she went on the pro tour, and she's still flying around the world. Quali's lower tournament, but she's played in some slams. She hasn't really had success that obviously fans of Jim Kick and Allie's would have wanted. But she's out there making a living, singles, doubles. She had some injuries, and of course, a big setback when her dad, not only did he obviously pass away a year or two ago, but he also, in the last 4 or 5 years of his life, had Alzheimer's. So that was rough for Allie to deal with. But I'll never forget, I'm covering a junior tournament. I believe it's the Orange Bowl itself. It might have been the Sunshine Continental Cup out at the Plantation Beltry Tennis Center, where the Orange Bowl 16s and 18s will be held December 2nd to the 12th. My junior tournament is 14th to the 21st out in Miami. But anyhow, Allie Kick has played, and Jim Kick is very, always feisty and a real rah-rah guy. And Allie would miss a few shots, and you hear Jim like cursing under his breath or mutter, or turning his back. Allie literally kicked him out of the court where he was hanging out watching. She pointed out and she ejected Allie.
Your own father, wow.
And I'll never forget that. In the same tournament, Bob Mcadoo, obviously one of the greatest basketball players of all time and a longtime Miami Heat assistant. I think he still works with the Heat in scouting. His daughter, Rashida Mcadoo, was also playing in the same tournament, and Bob is the perfect gentleman. His 6'10" leg crossed with his lovely Italian wife. They never said a word, and he was the perfect tennis parent. And Jim Kick was not the perfect tennis parent. And interesting enough, Bob McAdoo's grandson, Robert McAdoo Jr., he will be playing in the Junior Orange Bowl. So
wow.
I'll see Bob McAdoo out there as well. At one point,
pretty impressive.
Bob McAdoo, we were going to play. I would love to try to lob over the Bobby Mac, but we never got.
You were going to have McAdoo standing at the net. He plays tennis also, and you were going to try and hit it by him.
Yeah, he loves tennis, and his son was a tennis pro, I believe, in the D.C. area. Robert McAdoo, so we'll see how his grandson does. I'm sure I'll make a little story out of it.
would be more imposing than Joe Rose standing at the net, which is quite a figure, when you're trying to get the ball over around that guy's head. Harvey Fialkoff with us here, and going to be covering a lot of tennis. We need a quick movie review, Harvey, on King Richard. I saw you put something up on Facebook about that, and you were impressed with the movie. We had one of the actresses on our Believe podcast that was part of the cast, played the sister of the Williams sisters, if that makes sense. And she was not a tennis player, but anyway, and a lot of people thought this movie was pretty good. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I gave it a good. I was interested in it because I lived that movie. I was out there when Serena and Venus were 12 and 10 years old out in Delray Beach. Back then it was Laver's Academy. It wasn't Rod Laver, it was Ian Laver, his cousin, who was later killed in a plane crash on the way to Dallas. But so he was using his brother's name to draw a crowd. But they always had big tournaments there, Sunshine Continental Cup, and that's where Rick Macy was teaching, the renowned tennis coach. Yes. And I went there in the outer court and I interviewed them all. And Richard Williams back then told me that they would both be number one in the world. But Serena was going to be better. And they said that in the movie as well. And I was one of the reporters out there. They showed reporters out there in the movie, but they couldn't get Brad Pitt to fill in for me. So I didn't
cut you out of the movie altogether. Hey, if we can't get Pitt to play Fialkoff. Yeah, very, very interesting. All right. Yeah.
But Will Smith was great. And you had a lot of character actors there that you'd recognize. So really high-class acting in this movie. So it was very interesting. And everything Richard Williams said came to truth. He didn't play juniors. He didn't believe in it. Venus played a little bit at the beginning. But he didn't like the tennis parents, the way they abused their children. And now as a tennis umpire, I see that all the time.
Wow. Yeah, that's got to be an eye-opener, too. Even being around a Little League game, every now and then, and you're passing by the park there, and you're saying, why are there, so many police cars here to watch this Pop Warner game or whatever? It's just crazy how insane people get. All right, but we were having this conversation with Joe Frisaro, who was on with us before you came on, Harvey, and I know you know Joe. And I don't know where you stand. We're assuming that you're somewhat of a, stay in line, old school baseball purist. I don't know where you stand on the juicers and the Hall of Fame, because an interesting dynamic has taken place now, as you have a couple of new school guys getting in there, Big Papi, and of course David Ortiz and A-Rod, which everybody knows about A-Rod. He was suspended for a year. Does that make him Hall of Fame ineligible? The voters have shown a bias towards exclusion, although a couple of guys that were under high suspicion of being juicers are in the Hall of Fame. So what is your thought on that? And do you think that you would like to see, after 10 years, Bonds, Clemens get in?
Surprisingly, I'm going against your belief. I'm more on Lubie's side. Listen, they let Bud Selig in, the commissioner. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
he looked the other way during the steroid era, because he knew after the baseball strike, attendance was down, baseball was losing its popularity, and then, of course, steroids came in, the home run race with McGuire and Sosa and Bonds caught America's eye. And they were regular and primetime TV shows would be cut away for the McGuire chase to Roger.
Yeah. Sammy's got another one. Okay.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, okay. I am a firm believer in the asterisk. It's the greatest punctuation mark there is. Roger Maris had to have it because he played the 102-game season when he broke Ruth's record, and Ruth only played, I think, was 154.
154, yeah.
Asterisk. Right. So they all need the asterisk. Pete Rose, asterisk. Gambled on baseball. It's a no-no. And as you said earlier, now everybody's gambling on all sports, and his team pro teams in Vegas. He was the most exciting player, the hit king. But here's the thing: Clemens, A-Rod, they belong in the Hall of Fame with the asterisk, and Bonds, because they were going to be in the Hall of Fame regardless of juicing and getting the needle in the butt. But guys like McGuire, Sosa, no, they don't belong in the Hall of Fame because they were just average ball players, and they would not have been, made the Hall of Fame. And Curt Schilling, The only thing he had was the bloody sock. If Kurt Schilling is put in, Andy Pettit's got to go in. 286 wins to Schilling's 211, and they were both.
How do you always bring it back to a Yankee? I mean, it's amazing, Harvey. There's no conversation. You could be talking about Nietzsche's philosophical position on the human condition, and somehow get back to Cashman and what he's going to do in the offseason. Now, you're amazing like that, Harvey Fialkov. All right, so you would put him in. I hate the asterisk, and I hate when it's brought up. Not that you brought it up, and I felt any particular emotional charge, but I'm just not a fan of it. It was stupid in the Roger Maris thing. I thought it was just pure ugliness on the part of Ford Frick, and then it was adopted as something that should always be brought up whenever something was questionable. I mean, just make a decision. They're either in or they're out. And that would be my thought. I mean, it's either the record or it's not. The asterisk means nothing to me unless you're talking about some wind-dated 100-yard dash, where a guy ran like an 8.9 and broke a record. But in a 50-mile-per-hour trail win, yes.
Still have that bust in the Hall of Fame. I mean, Lubie's right. Guys like Ty Cobb, despicable human beings are in there. I don't know how many other rapists and racists are in there. So put the asterisk in there. He gambled on baseball. These guys too, like Bagwell, Biggio. I covered these cheating asterisks. They were cheating for years, even before they stealing signs.
And there you go again. Oh my God. It's unbelievable. Are you seeing somebody about this Yankee phobia that you have?
Well, Bagwell,
where it all gets back to how the Yankees have been jobbed for the last however many years it's been since they won their last title, like 2009.
Wait, there's more. Don Mattingly's not in the Hall of Fame, and Harold Baines is. The guy he had two.
Yeah, that's always the one. That's the Lynn Swan of baseball right
Baines is
now.
rough.
Harold Baines.
Baines is rough.
He's an excellent baseball player. Mattingly dominated baseball.
Were you mad that Maz got in? I mean, he did hit one of the most famous homers, if not the most famous home run in baseball history.
One lucky hit in 1960. One lucky hit. South Terry was a Gopher Ball pitcher.
You're on your game, man. All right, what are you doing for Thanksgiving, Harvey Fialkov? What do you have going?
Eating, a lot of eating.
Yeah.
We're going over to the Outlaws. I mean, the in-laws and
The
the
Outlaws.
whole family, including my kids are all going to be there from both sides. Even though my son Jason, he's going to bring his mishpucha from Atlanta. They'll be visiting in Miami Beach. They're all going to his sister's in-laws, which is great. So we're all going to get together at Pembroke Pines and feast down at some green bean casserole. I love it. And I can't wait for Thursday. I don't care about the football games. Detroit Lions, what a joke that is at the Lions.
I think they get their first win. All signs are pointing towards a win for the Lions there. You're getting 3 and a hook. And they're at home on Turkey Day.
Yeah, there's good. Right, after a tie. Tie in football. Those announcers didn't even know that you could get a tie in football. That was really great a few weeks ago. But no, it should be a fun holiday, and I can't wait to feast down with everybody, the whole clan. I got my grandson Max, 4 months old, and also my beautiful granddaughter Sadie, 3 years old. Excuse me, and so we're gonna have a great time.
All right, sounds good. Harvey, you enjoy your weekend and the holiday, and the best to you and your family, your lovely wife. And thanks so much for being with us here on our pre-Thanksgiving, one of our many pre-Thanksgiving specials here on Ion Channel. It's a pleasure, my friend.
Great show. Feinstein was unbelievable. By the way, Dusty Baker, the 2 black managers, Roberts wins it 2 years ago. Dusty Baker loses it this year. But two black managers, look how great they are. So
Exactly.
what a joke that is. Baseball should be ashamed. On that note,
Progress has been slow. Yes, for sure.
Harvey, man.
Yeah. It's Gene Upshaw syndrome. It really is. All right. Don't forget about the great people at Deal Volkswagen. They are moving automobiles faster than they can count them. And that's because they're offering the lowest prices on the best selection that's around of those Volkswagen vehicles, including, once again, I just marvel at the Tiguan. I kind of aced myself out a little bit yesterday, Lubie. I was looking for a cheaper gas than was for sale at the corner.
Okay.
So there's a gas station down the street that's like 10 cents cheaper per gallon, which, all right, so what are you saving there? $1.40? But it's right around the corner.
I agree.
So I go there, they're out of gas, all right?
Oh,
And now, thank goodness, man, that this thing is not a gas guzzler, because I had like 3 miles of range left in my car. I go to another gas station that also has the same price, Atlantic Boulevard and Valero. They're out of gas. So now I circle back and I outsmarted myself because I could have gone to the corner and paid like $3.35 a gallon. And I passed on that and ended up paying $3.89 because all they had was super at the last gas station that my car was going to make it to before it ran out of gas, which would have been, it's an embarrassment to run out of gas. Hey, what's the problem here, Charlie? I'm out of gas.
That's bad.
So, wow, it's like the old days of the gas shortage in New York City there, where you were online every other day based on the last numerical, digit there on your license plate. But anyway, the Tiguan, thank goodness, it gets like great mileage. And then I asked for like $45 worth of this $3.90 a gallon. Ooh, what a difference there. But it almost filled up the tank. And that's going to last me like weeks and weeks because these cars are just absolutely dynamite on fuel, which is a very important consideration right now. But the better thing is an even more glorious ride that you get. It's an SUV. It handles like a regular car. It's just absolutely fantastic, real sweet. No maintenance. I mean, you talk about a low maintenance vehicle. How about a no maintenance vehicle? You don't have to do squat to these cars, man, and they run forever. Just absolutely fantastic. Deal Volkswagen, a place to get one. DealVolkswagen.com. The lowest prices in town that you'll find here in South Florida or anywhere for that matter. And it'd be worth like having a car shipped if you were getting one of the certified pre-owned. So check that out wherever you happen to be. Even our audience, which is growing in like Eastern and Western Asia, Lubie, it'd be worth calling Deal Volkswagen to get a car, especially in the certified pre-owned category. DealVolkswagen.com is the place you find Anna and her team and the great people at Deal Volkswagen. All right, coming back, talk some NFL to finish out the show here with the agent of the stars, Brett Tester. Brought to you by Will and Trust attorney, Mr. Michael D. Wild. He does a phenomenal job. And, what is it? SouthFloridaWills.com.
Yes.
That's where you find Michael D. Wild. Wild and Felice, the name of the law firm. They did a marvelous job for my brother and me. Without them, we would have been absolutely up the creek.
S-O-L.
Without the proverbial paddle, and you know what creek I'm talking about. All right, back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
That was a particularly scathing text I got about Lovie Smith from my friend Rich. It's time to talk some football. Destination Sport Miami is here to revolutionize the sports landscape in South Florida. The largest indoor multifaceted sports complex in North America is on the way, with distinguished leaders of its various sports programs and unparalleled access to the finest indoor training fields and facilities. Destination Sport Miami will set South Florida apart as the destination of choice for elite athletic training and development and for its dedication to youth programs and sports on all levels. A phenomenal concept and a powerful undertaking, Destination Sport Miami will also be an important commodity in the sports business community as well. Destination Sport Miami, its time has come.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. What if I told you you could go to a great restaurant, feel completely safe because their COVID protocol is unmatched, have an amazing meal, have a great time. When the bill comes, you won't get sticker shock. You're going to say, that's too good to be true. No, it's not, because I'm talking about Texas Roadhouse. Great family atmosphere, great atmosphere for a couple, great atmosphere if you just want to go by yourself and watch a game and have the coldest beer in town. And while you're doing that, have the best bread in town. All at Texas Roadhouse. Everything you get there is fresh every day and made sure it's served at your table, hot and ready to go. And the best part is you don't get sticker shock because the prices are amazing. Texas Roadhouse.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone? You can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side.
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Hey, it's Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet here for my friends over at Shenanigans Sports Pub. It's a great place to go to take in a game, a good meal, and a couple of drinks. My friend Patrick, he's been doing it a long time, and he's got 2 locations. West Side is right across from TY Park in Hollywood. And then the East Side location is at 1300 South Federal Highway in Dania Beach. Shenanigans is the place for wings, burgers, barbecue, fresh fish, anything you want, drink specials, late night dining, outdoor dining. It is the place to go, family friendly. Go to Shenanigans and tell them the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
The simple pleasures of this job, the way a stadium sounds when one of my players performs well on the field, the way we are meant to protect them in health and in injury. Less, more attention, caring for them, caring for ourselves in the games too.
The agent to the stars, the one and only Brett Tesler.
Well, once again, everybody, great to be with you here on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest, Michael Lubie, Lubitz, the Defo Show, and closing out this Tuesday. A pleasure always to welcome this gentleman to the program. Have been with us for many, many years, and his appearance here on the show brought to you by Will and Trust Attorney, estate planner extraordinaire, Mr. Michael D. Wild. SouthFloridaWills.com is where you can find him. He does a marvelous job, as he has for Brett, and I saw his work in full evidence when we had to deal with the passing of my mother. And what a terrific job these guys did. Otherwise, we would have been really in a bad place when it came to just finally settling those affairs. So Michael D. Wild, definitely a go-to guy. Brett Tesler, a go-to guy. Now, which direction did you go in? I'm kind of curious, Brett Tesler. Are you chopping wood and getting a fire together in the cool confines of Wisconsin for Thanksgiving? Or are you here in South Florida basking in the sunshine by the pool in the backyard?
We are up at our house in Lake Geneva right now, but there's no wood chopping. It's in the 20s right now, but it's really, really pretty and, good environment to spend Thanksgiving. You know, when you think Thanksgiving, you think about brown leaves, you think about turkey, and, certainly there's plenty of both when I look out my window here. So we'll be heading back at the end of the week.
How involved does the state of Wisconsin get in one of the big Midwest rivalries, which is coming up in college football? Is there any steam around town as you go there, to the local stores or whatever about Michigan, Ohio State coming up this weekend?
Not really. Over here, most people are just concerned about the Wisconsin Badgers. And so aside from that, unless they're playing one of those teams, I don't really hear people talking about any of the other games.
Holy Barry Alvarez, man. Very focused, these people in Wisconsin. I would imagine the Packers are subject as well. And they were in a wild affair. Talk about a Midwest bloodbath there and a classic between two teams. Minnesota, and that's your guy, is it not? I mean, they're carrying your guy off the field. How does that feel, Brett Tesler, as an agent? We saw it with the MVP there in the NFC title game a couple of years ago with Raheem Mostert. And your kicker for Minnesota comes through. And I have to thank you on behalf of a friend of ours who we live vicariously through, because he's gambling huge money in Las Vegas and posting these tickets online on Facebook. So it's evidence that he really has laid out the dough. He had $100,000 game.
Wow.
So he thanks you. I don't know. You should send 50 to your kicker. No, your client.
Exactly.
Well, hey, man, I'm always happy to help your friends in any way I can. But
$100,000 on this guy. Can you imagine?
that's serious money. You know, it must be nice to have that kind of money to afford to play with like that. But you know, from an agent standpoint, there's just not a better feeling in the world, because it's the funniest thing, Deef. You know, when you've been doing this as long as I have, and you've represented some of the great players I have throughout the years. I always get anxious whenever any of my clients are involved in a big game or are in a big situation. But there is nothing more stressful than representing a kicker, just because, you know, it ultimately all comes down to them. I mean, that game is won or lost on their foot in that situation. And, you know, again, even though I've been fortunate to represent certain players who have made way more money than a kicker would typically make, just for whatever reason, there's nothing that can compare to that level of stress. I mean, even just an extra point, these are things that as an agent, you really, you know, sit on the edge of your seat about and pay very close attention to every little thing they do.
Kickers always kind of interesting, and it can be quirky. Curious because you've represented a couple of different guys, both punters and place kickers in the league. Are they like knuckleballers? I mean, you have a guy like Tucker with the Ravens who's fantastic at what he does, and he couldn't be any more well-rounded or grounded. I mean, he's an opera singer, you know, probably could have been a doctor. And then, you know, I always envision maybe some of these guys, you know, are a little peculiar. Like goalies or you know, maybe even some professional golfers. And, you know, the last thing you want to do is suggest anything negative to them at any time, because it could put them in some kind of a funk where all of a sudden the ball has a gyroscope in it. But how do you find kickers in general? Because they're a lot of times go-to guys after ball games, especially losses, when they went 2 for 2 on field goals, because they're the only guys that want to talk.
Yep.
I mean, you really have to be a different kind of cat to play that position and, you know, to put yourself in those situations. I mean, you want to talk about just the ultimate amount of stress. I don't know if I could do it. You know, I have a hard time hitting a golf ball cleanly if I'm playing with somebody who, you know, is a better player than me, who I want to, you know, try to not embarrass myself around. Imagine being in a stadium of 70,000 people, you know, with a team that is really on the verge of trying to make a move down the stretch to try to make a playoffs against the Green Bay Packers. I mean, it's just an insane amount of pressure. So yes, these guys definitely, it behooves them to be wound a little different than me or you.
No, it was crazy, man. So he came through again, which was fantastic. And my friend Sheldon G, he thanks your kicker. I don't know if it's possible we could open up a communication between the two, but he said that he had gone through 3 packs of Depends during the course of that game. Because Minnesota was out front for a long time, and then Green Bay comes back, ties it up. You're thinking, okay, here it is. Aaron Rodgers is going to find a miraculous way to pull it out. And then somehow Minnesota got that drive going with Kirk Cousins, and it was going to boil down to the kicker from about 40. And that had to be a fantastic moment for you. All right. I don't know how many times, Brett Tesser, you've seen, but I've seen locally on the news, they can't show this enough. Tua completing a long pass. And now the Dolphins have won 3 in a row, and people are starting to take the position that they'll probably win the next 4 as well and make it 7 straight or 6 straight. They'll win the next 3 and end up at 7-7. I mean, do you see that? I mean, have they said anything or convinced you that they somehow have righted what was a fast sinking ship after the first 8 weeks of the season? I mean, obviously, the 3 wins couldn't hurt anything, but what do you think? I mean, are they anywhere making progress towards what would be their ultimate goal, which was to be a contender?
I think so, because, you know, it's tough to get any win in this league. And so, you know, when you get 2 wins in a row, you know, you're clicking a little bit. When you get 3 wins in a row, I think that constitutes a streak. And so, you know, I'm happy for them. And I think Tua is playing reasonably well. And again, you know, we've talked about Tua a million times. The issue with him isn't necessarily that he's the worst guy to ever throw a football. No, I think there's some things the guy does pretty well. And I think when other things around him are clicking and working the way they're supposed to, and when the line is providing a, you know, fair amount of protection, good things can happen in this league. But, again, the issue isn't Tua himself. If somebody needed a quarterback and he were the only quarterback available, I think you could be happy with what you'd get from him. But again, the issue continues to be the guy drafted one pick behind him at his position, Justin Herbert for the Chargers. And of course, we saw what he did the other night. And, he's just truly one of the elites of the elite, moving into the next generation of quarterback play in the NFL. So I think that's the bigger issue. As far as Tua, yeah, you could do better, but you could also do worse. There's a lot of teams in this league that would be happy to have a guy like Tua. And if you can build a team that can win games without having to put everything on the shoulders of their quarterbacks, like you've seen the Green Bay Packers do for the last 15 years with Aaron Rodgers, and a few of the other teams that have just, truly elite quarterbacks. If you want to win the way that Tampa Bay won it with Brad Johnson, or the way that Baltimore won it with, was it Joe Flacco, or even Trent Dilfer, then yeah, you just got to make sure that everything else around him is perfect.
Brett Tesser, the agent of the stars, with us here on Ion Channel, and happy to have him on board. He's in Wisconsin, getting ready for the Thanksgiving holiday. I know you're a big-time family man, and if you want to protect your family's interests,
yes,
Michael D. Weil, man. There's one guy to go to. Wherever you are, we have an international audience now. Well, wherever you are, this is the guy to take care of your affairs.
He really is. And of course, you reach out to him at southfloridawills.com. And, it just makes the process so simple. And it's just one of those things that unfortunately so many people kind of push off and procrastinate about and feel they'll get to it, sometime in the future, or maybe they think it's going to cost a lot of money or take a lot of time. When you reach out to Michael Wild at southfloridawills.com, you find out very quickly this isn't the case. And literally when you walk out of his office, it is the greatest feeling in the world, knowing that A, 1,000-pound weight's been taken off your back, and B, that if God forbid something happens to you, your family's taken care of. It's too important to do. Stop pushing it off. Reach out to Michael Wild, southfloridawills.com.
Can be a big hassle, my friend, and our condolences to my friend Southern Brian, but his father passed a couple of weeks ago. And nightmarish. Everything he has to go through. He's having documents stamped coming in from Colombia, all kinds of crazy stuff, just to appease people, so he can get what is rightfully his, and was left to him by his father. And you know what? I kept saying, "Wow, I wish this guy had contacted Michael D. Wild." Brett, you and your family have a great Thanksgiving. It's always a pleasure, my friend. And we're into the holiday season. I know. It's going to be a festive one for you, and hopefully for all of your clients as well in the National Football League. And the league has achieved its goal of parity. That's what everybody's saying. If it was ever involved in a heavy dose of parity, it's this year. So it'll be a lot of fun tracking it the rest of the way. Thanks so much for being with us, and all the best to you and Lonnie and your lovely children.
Thanks, Steve. And we're very thankful for our relationship with you guys, and just want to wish everybody out there a happy, healthy, safe Thanksgiving.
Thank you, sir.
All right. A lot of fun having all of these people on the program today. John Feinstein was brilliant. I thought earlier, and his book sounds like, talk about a thorough job of reporting, Michael Lubitz. He would have talked to two guys on the phone for a couple of seconds, fudged the quotes, and then tried to put out a book. Just hard to imagine Feinstein is schlepping around the streets of New York, going from publisher to publisher, saying, "Hey, anybody want to buy a book? Help me out here, huh?" The guy, that's his 44th book. He wrote A Season on the Brink, for God's sake. Hard Courts on tennis was brilliant. That was one of the 4 or 5 books I've read cover to cover in my lifetime. Hard Courts was great. Read it by the pool. It was fantastic on tennis. Real insight. Real great reporting by John Feinstein. So that should be a good one. His latest book on race and what progress has been made, if any. There has been progress, but let's face it.
Not as much.
I don't know that you're ever going to achieve this balance. It's just like fighting global warming, right? Are we ever going to really overcome it in its entirety? I don't know, which is a shame. But, that's the way it stands with sports and race. So excellent. It sounded like an excellent piece of work there. by John Feinstein. We appreciate him joining us. Joe Frisaro on baseball. Of course, Harvey Fialkoff, Brett Tester, the Agents of the Stars. Mike Lubitz, always great. We'll do it again tomorrow. We'll go old school with Tony Segreto as we head into the Thanksgiving Day holiday here. And a lot of sports on tap as well. I'm Jeff Deforrest. Thanks for listening.
More of us. Check us out on the Believe Podcast Network, Believe.com. Just search After Hours. And today our guest will be Levante David, Pro Bowl, All-Pro linebacker. Did some great things with Thanksgiving Day turkeys ahead of time at his high school alma mater, Miami Northwestern, this past weekend. So we'll talk with Levante David. So check that out today. Believe.com, search After Hours.
All right, sounds good. And I think we have Jason Cole coming up on that. So we're unable to make the connection here on Ion Channel yesterday, but he's agreed to come and join us for one of our Believe podcasts. So you can check that out as well. All right, Ion Channel, though, the place to go, man, for the audio and video. It's a spectacular here. Thanks to Jack Namer, Amy, and Brad, all of the good people there. And we're looking forward to big things happening the rest of the year and then into 2022. Did they commit yet to 2022, Lubie? No? See if we can convince them, man, with more fine performances. No, great dealing with these people. Ion Channel, fantastic. And it's turned out to be just the right thing for us. And hopefully a good thing for you. Just Google the Defo Show, and we'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
And don't forget about our guys at HST Insurance, huh? A policy specifically designed for you, and they're going to give you the right count every time. HST at 855-282-8022. All right, see you tomorrow at 7 a.m.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.